23 years after The Exorcist, William Peter Blatty returned to bring his novel Legion to movie theaters. Bravely rejecting the typical sequel model of repeating the story of the first film, Blatty instead created a film that's very different, but against all odds, easily its equal. The Exorcist II.
Hold up. Stop everything. We interrupt your regular broadcast because why am I hearing, Lauren, that you want to skip The Exorcist II? What is this about, man? Look.
I gotta say, man, I'm demanding part 2.
You've got to stop what you're doing and do The Exorcist II. Do this for the people at home.
I, for one, love it. It's possibly my favorite of the original trilogy.
That you can't skip The Exorcist II. You've got to talk about it.
I'm begging, please do The Exorcist II, The Heretic.
Looking forward to this, and I'm a huge fan of The Exorcist II.
Fine. Fuck it. Sequels provide Hollywood with the opportunity to produce movies that don't require as much promotion or advertising to reach their audience. This makes the prospect of making sequels extremely attractive to studios. The Exorcist was a massive hit, nearly a generational movie event. This was the Star Wars of the horror genre. Well, before Star Wars. Warner Brothers had every reason to make a second movie. What they didn't have was the bills. William Peter Blatty and William Friedkin did not return. Instead, they reached out to John Borman, the acclaimed director of Hell in the Pacific, Deliverance, and Zardoz.
Go forth and kill.
But what to do with this? The first film provided an answer, or at least a meaningful meditation, on the biggest theological question in the history of mankind. It would seem that whatever themes the sequel targeted, it would inevitably be a step down from that original. If The Exorcist was an examination of the problem of evil, The Heretic attempts to be a sort of Paul on the Road to Damascus story, but with the voice of Darth Vader in a grasshopper cosplay outfit. Sound absurd? No, it doesn't sound absurd. It is absurd.
I am your father.
Richard Burton took the lead role of Father Lamont at a delicate time in his career. It was 11 years since Who's Afraid of Virginia Woolf, but only 4 years before he was scrounging for television roles. He was an actor from another age, really, and this was 1977, the year of Star Wars, punk rock, and the Son of Sam murders. Burton's somber approach to his characters points out how unfocused and weird the movie around him really is. As Father Lamont investigates the final years of Father Marin's life, he's presented with the same questions that Karras faced in the original. His own attempt to save a girl possessed in Central America ends with him setting the girl on fire, evoking the sort of Christian persecution themes of both Paul before his conversion and the Salem witch trials. Contrast this with Father Karras' act of sacrifice. Lamont seeks answers from a God that would allow such a horror, but also questions the nature of faith. It sounds like a story worth telling, right? Oh, I should probably mention that Regan McNeil might be a prophetic savior with superpowers. She seems to be able to faith heal now, or failing that, cuddle with pigeons. Doves might have been too on the nose. And then there's the naturalist researcher / shaman played by James Earl Jones. His speech about the bad locust is a mixed metaphor bonanza of confused allegories, hallucinogenic images, and deep baritone of authority. He seems to imply that the evil deeds of people fuel demonic entities, or something. It might just be about grasshoppers migrating en masse. Who knows? The Exorcist II is less a movie about ideas than an idea about a movie. That is, a sequel was always going to happen, and it was inevitable, but rather than build up a story with identifiable stakes and characters that the audience can relate to, it gives us Regan McNeil as the possible savior of mankind, a scientist investigating the swarming patterns of insects, and a priest that has seen real evil, and kinda doesn't have faith anyway. Because movie. Maybe The Heretic fails because it was one of modern cinema's first true boardroom pictures, where a gaggle of executives construct what they think an audience wants. Or maybe it was that the original, alongside Jaws and the same summer as Star Wars, was leading summer movies to a place of empty spectacle, and they felt that they needed to compete. The original Exorcist could easily have been produced as a stage play. Exorcist II needed to be bigger. Whatever themes John Borman and crew hoped to explore are buried in an avalanche of nonsense, and if the studio had attempted to sell more seats by getting bigger, they ended up just pushing not just the core audience, but everyone away. No one wanted a movie like this. Very few want this today. Every so often I revisit The Heretic. Many bad films become comfortable with age. I doubt this ever will. Good storytelling always reflects our world. I've said that more than enough, and I'll probably say it a whole lot more than any of you want to hear. But there's nothing in this movie that feels like a mirror. Not good for a movie in which characters use a machine, which features mirrors, to share each other's dreams.
I will spit